All right, good afternoon. I'm Melissa, as John mentioned. Really can't say much more after that introduction. What I can say is that I'm incredibly honored and thrilled to be here today. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about owning your unpredictable career. So I'm going to take you back in time. I was sitting in my graduate school apartment, sitting at my tiny desk in my tiny apartment. I had the letter in front of me. I picked up the pen and I signed my name to the letter. I just resigned from my PhD project. I realized that I had moved my family, my career, quit a job to pursue my doctorate. And I had now made one of the hardest decisions of my life to not go with that project. I had nothing. I had no research, no publications, no project, and no advisor. The one thing I did have was student loan debt. And I had a lot of debt. Professionally, things couldn't have been worse. Sometimes these very unexpected events actually put you on a career path to your dream job. Making the final decision to actually resign and turn in that resignation letter was absolutely one of the hardest decisions I have ever made. Was it part of my career plan to resign from my PhD while I was massively in debt? No, not really. That was not part of my plan. Was it one of the best decisions I ever made? Absolutely. I started from nothing, had to completely start over on my PhD. I knocked it out of the park. I graduated with my PhD in Aerospace engineering. I had a phenomenal new advisor and a wonderful project. Bottom line up front, I owned the twists and turns of my career. Before we get into the techniques, I'd like to take you back in time one more time. I originally started as a chemistry major at the College of William and Mary. I was not an engineering student, although I was in STEM. I was passionate about chemistry, and I believed that this was my career path. This was absolutely the path I was going to be on because I wanted to do chemistry, and specifically chemistry in space. Graduated with my bachelor's, got a job in chemistry, discovered I really didn't like chemistry as a job. While the field was fascinating and I've always enjoyed STEM, I was stuck in a research lab with only one or two other people, and I really didn't have any interaction outside of my job. So, quit my job, moved coast to coast for the first time, came back to Maryland, and took a job with the Governor's Office of Maryland. So this was the first time I changed industries, going from chemistry into either politics or government, depending how you want to view the governor's office. I had an entry-level job at the governor's office, trying to pay my rent. I answered phones. So a few years back, if you happened to call the governor's office of Maryland, you would get me on the other end of the line. What really surprised me about this job is how much I loved it. People only call the governor's office when they have a problem. They rarely call to say, hey, you're doing a great job. So my job was to try and help these people and to make sure that I could help solve their problems. Most importantly, I was fully empowered to be able to solve those problems. I had a list of phone numbers and names with very specific individuals that I could get people to if I wasn't able to directly resolve it. It wasn't another queue, it wasn't another answering machine, it was a real live person who could resolve the issues. This led me to the realization that I love working with people. It really is a motivation, and one of the things that drives me is to be able to help other people solve their problems. The one thing that was missing from this job was space. There was not a real space element in the governor's office of Maryland, as much as I loved that job. So for the second time, I decided to switch industries. Quit my job, quit my career, moved to Colorado to pursue my master's and doctorate. At the University of Colorado Boulder, I did complete both my master's and PhD in aerospace engineering. As you've heard, there was a few hiccups along the way. It was not an easy road. One of the things that I'd also like to talk about is my coaching accreditation. After I graduated from my PhD, I started my aerospace career, trying to reach that blend of both space and working with people. One of the things that's very important to me is working with those around me and helping them be successful. So along my career, I have obtained my coaching accreditation through the International Coaching Federation. I studied at the Neuro Leadership Institute, and after a lot of training and a lot of practice, I am an accredited coach. One of the drivers for me is when I was going through my PhD program and considering whether I wanted to change projects, I felt very alone. This was a little bit of a taboo subject that people really didn't talk about. So I made the decision, still very proud of the decision, to switch projects, which was successful. And I realized I'm going to be vocal about what I've done. It's important for other people to know that there are options out there. Once I started talking about the fact that I had switched projects, lo and behold, there's a lot of other people who have done that too. It's normal, it's okay. But no one was talking about it. So for me, sharing knowledge and sharing experiences, whether it's graduate school, undergraduate, our careers today, it is absolutely vital, not only to me as a motivator, but to each of us in this room so that we can help each other. I now have the privilege of working my dream job at Ball. I finally got all the pieces in the right place to work with people and work in space. So I absolutely, truly have my dream job. So now I'd like to share with you a couple of tips and techniques that I've developed along the way on how you can drive your career while it's unpredictable. Number one, find your breadcrumbs. What this means is to really identify what job traits make you happy. It may not be about the title itself, but what are the specific items that you want to do on a day-to-day basis? For me, it is all about the people. So if I don't have a people element and I don't have the ability to interact with people, whether it's internal or external, I know that I will not be happy in a job. So that is a number one requirement for me. However, it doesn't really close that many doors. There's a lot of opportunities out there to work with people. And for me, I particularly chose this logo because it's a corner piece. This is my corner piece of my puzzle. If my job allows me to work with people, I will be happy. Number two, embrace unexpected opportunities. I've moved industries twice. Another option if you're staying within your industry is lateral moves. It's not necessarily about climbing the ladder, it's about pursuing opportunities that are open to you. And sometimes those opportunities don't look like you expect them to. Take them. You never know where they might lead. So if I had not started answering phones in an office, which is a pretty hard job actually, I would never have discovered about working with people, and the ability to solve people's problems is one of my key motivators. Number three, create a strong track record. Be excellent at whatever you're doing. Even answering the phones, was I going to be really good at that? Did I take my job seriously? Absolutely. I also knew that when I walked home at the end of the day and I got into my car, that I had made a difference in people's lives every single day. So I got up and I was excited to go back into the office the next morning. As an engineer, my track record is as a systems engineer. One example of creating a strong track record I'd like to share with you is, even though I was a systems engineer, I was actually leading a team of people running Six Sigma activities for my company. At that time, one of my mentors came to me and said, "Melissa, what do you think about legislative affairs? Do you want to work in Washington, D.C. for a while?" I said, "Absolutely, I would love to." So I took that job, but it was because of my track record. So even though I was an engineer and working on Six Sigma activities, someone said, "Hey, legislative affairs is a great option, and we should really think about having Melissa do it." And that was another great journey as part of my career. Finally, most importantly, and tip number 4 is land your dream job. I am fortunate enough to currently be in it. I actually get paid to talk to people. I didn't think that job existed. I thought it was something I was going to have to do in my spare time. So now I work in space, I'm making a difference for humanity, and I get to talk to people as part of my job. It's exactly what my company wants to be doing. It's exactly what I want to be doing. In conclusion, I'd like to say, drive your career, you own it. There's going to be difficult decisions along the way. Be excellent at whatever job you're doing, and most importantly, go out, land your dream job, whether it's the job you have or whether it's your next one. Thank you.